Fine people. I put tulips under Papa's pillows and then I set fire to the house. Mama told me to, and I didn't see any reason to disobey. It was tinder dry, that house, a 3-story Victorian confection built with the last of our family money on land, sold out from under us before the paint on the turrets was dry. We'd been gentry, one of the county's finest, and then we were not. I do not remember a time when my father did not smell of bourbon. Papa's beautiful suits were frayed at the cuffs and shiny with oil where his neck pressed into the collar. The bespoke shoes of cordovan leather that cradled his elegant feet were scuffed and down at the heel. Afternoons, he'd lie on the Victorian couch that had belonged to his great-grandmother, with its hard-as-a-rock horsehair stuffing, smoking Dunhills. "I simply can't smoke any other tobacco," he'd say in his lazy, charming drawl, like we still had land and horses and a spring house full of cream and butter, fine cattle and polished brass doorknobs, iced tea with mint on the porch on hot summer days, brought by servants who did our sweating for us. "We're fine people," he'd say. "Always remember." His languid hand would fall beside the dregs of his drink, his cigarette's glowing tip igniting the fabric of the couch or the worn Persian rug or whatever family artifact, dry with age, it touched. I learned to keep water on hand. Back then, I put the fires out. And Mama? Every day she applied lipstick, blotted it with a tissue, and nursed our ancient Buick along the road into town. Miss Mabel's dress shop had hired her good taste and southern charm, and she delivered day after day. But at night, she slumped at our greasy kitchen table, her skin yellow and bruised looking. She'd read the obituaries out loud, then roll the newspaper up and slap the table. "Not there yet," she'd say. We'd laugh, and she'd tell me something that happened in the shop. It was a little form of a revenge, these stories. Remember Cynthia Johnson and her big fat mama? I did. Cynthia, with her large freckled face, features squeezed together in the middle so hard, it looked like her front teeth had buckled over each other from the pressure. Mama put on a high, hoity-toity voice. "She's getting married, don't you know?" her mama says. "So we'll need something appropriate for her honeymoon cruise." Then she looks at me sideways like she's deciding if I even know anymore what appropriate is. Like I'm going to slip something inappropriate into the pile of size 18 dresses, practically breaking my arm. And she says, "Now you pick us out some good ones here. She may be young, but she's not stupid." Mama snorted, sipped the sweet tea I made for her earlier. "Cynthia's for sure not young, and she sure as hell is stupid." We cracked up. She always had something for me, some treasure salvaged from the ruin of her day. In the living room, Daddy coughed and coughed. "Cigarettes," he said. "Don't worry about me." But then he started a project, and some days he'd sit at the walnut desk with all these little blue index cards, writing on them, gathering them and fanning them out like bluebirds' wings, picking one out and writing something else on it. "What you doing, Daddy?" "None of you beeswax, you." He crouched over them. They were a deep sky blue with pink lines, and I knew he'd fetched them from one of the boxes of office supplies in the attic, left over from when our family owned the biggest emporium in the county. The edges were yellow and soft with age. His writing was large and messy, and he used a lot of them. "Ideas for a rainy day," he finally said, after I'd hung around long enough. "Ideas that'll be worth money," he said. He coughed, a long one, rattling and phlegmy, like there was a lot of rotten junk down there. Daddy, down, was like a radio signal fading out, growing less and less reliable. At night, Mama covered him with a blanket as she slept on the couch, and then one morning she covered his handsome face, its mouth slack, its eyes half closed. "Call Miss Mabel. Tell her I won't be in for a few days," she said. Neighbors came. We left him on the couch. Why move him? With the windows open, the April breeze kept the house cool and fresh, and he lay there, lean and elegant in his threadbare suit on the carved rosewood couch, his great-grandmother's needlepoint pillows propping up his head and feet. He was surrounded by the tulips Mama had cut, yellow and red and pink and dark, dark purple, stuffed carelessly into the crystal and cut glass vases she found in the back of cupboards. "You could get a lot of money for some of this stuff," Miss Mabel said, eyeing the graceful lines of the sofa, the walnut desk, the inlaid sideboard. She brought a casserole. "You'll be burying him in the family cemetery, I expect?" "I expect," Mama said. When everyone left, she said, "Emma, take some of those tulips, put them under his pillows, will you? Your daddy loved them so." She went into the kitchen, and I could hear her rattling the paper. When I lifted his dead head to place the flowers, it rolled heavy in my hand and smelled like his hair pomade and something else. When I was done, I sat across from Mama at the kitchen table, and she read the obituaries. "Harlan Montgomery," she read, all the way to the end. And then she did that thing she does with the newspaper. Oh, she didn't stop slapping at one. She slapped and slapped until it was ripped and frayed, and then she looked at me and got the box of matches from the stove and lit that frayed end and handed it to me like a torch, and we walked into the living room. "Drop it on the rug, Emma," she said. And I did. She took my hand and we closed the door behind us and walked a ways up the gravel driveway. We leaned against the hood of that old Buick until the fire department truck came clanging up the road, but by then, the house was nearly gone.